breaking. Britain's Conservative leader just delivered her most revealing confession yet. And what she said about her controversial style has sent shockwaves through Westminster. While Labour crashes to historic polling lows, Kemi Badenoch admits she loves to tease people because it's all BANTZ. This isn't just political commentary anymore. This is a party leader exposing her true personality while her opponents crumble in real time. If you want to stay ahead of stories like this that reshape British politics, hit that subscribe button right now because what you're about to see will change how you think about political leadership forever. Here's what sparked the biggest revelation about Conservative leadership in months. 3 days ago, Kemi Badenoch sat down with the Daily Express for what seemed like a routine political interview. But when the conversation turned to her often controversial public persona, Britain's first black female party leader made a stunning admission that has political commentators scrambling to decode her strategy. Her exact words were explosive. "That's not what I'm like all the time. I think it can actually end up looking quite flippant, like I'm not taking things seriously. So I probably overcompensate that because I love to have a laugh. I like to tease people, which is why. And they don't always like being teased. They don't always like being teased, so they think that I'm being mean to them. But I'm just having a laugh and I like being teased. I think it's quite funny. I grew up being teased. I grew up in a banter family. And my new family now, obviously with my 3 children, it's all BANTZ." The admission is stunning because it reveals the calculated psychology behind Badenoch's confrontational political style. This isn't accidental controversy. This is deliberate, strategic teasing designed to provoke reactions from political opponents who can't handle the heat. And the political landscape this revelation emerges in makes it absolutely devastating for her opponents. Westminster has become a theater of unprecedented political warfare.
About the pace of change. So I'm not for a moment suggesting that they are racist. I was talking about a particular policy.
But why is it a racist policy to deport people who are legally living here if they don't meet high income and English language requirements? Many people would think that policy is reasonable, not racist. So why have you described it as racist?
Because these are people who are lawfully here, who've contributed to our society. They're working in our NHS, working in our schools. They're our neighbours. They have contributed and built their lives in this country.
But some might go.
But this goes to the heart of who we are as a country.
Okay.
I want to serve the whole of this country, this beautiful, tolerant, diverse country. The alternative, this toxic division, would tear apart who we are as a country, and that's why it's a really fundamental issue.
Do you think that he is caught in racist with this policy?
Well, look, I'm not going to start bandying.
Well, you called it a racist policy.
The policy.
So is he caught in racist with it?
I think the policy is racist. I think it's immoral. And I think, I'll tell you, I've had so much sort of incoming communications about this. People from minorities in this country who feel more scared now than they've felt for years. It's sent a shiver down their throat. It has said to communities who thought they were part of what it is to be British that somehow they're not British. I think that's a very dangerous place for us to go as a country, and it goes against everything.
The Prime Minister recently made extraordinary accusations against Reform UK, calling their immigration policies racist, while his own government implements remarkably similar measures. The hypocrisy is staggering, but it reveals something deeper about the establishment's panic as traditional political strategies collapse around them. The establishment's response has been nothing short of desperate.
It's a racist policy. I do think it's immoral. It needs to be called out for what it is.
And do you think that Reform UK is trying to appeal to racists?
No, I think that there are plenty of people who either vote Reform or are thinking of voting Reform who are frustrated. They had 14 years of failure under the Conservatives. They want us to change things. They may have voted Labour a year ago, and they want the change to come more quickly.
What do you think what does he mean? You know, so he says it's a racist policy. But they've made a big point, Layla, of saying, oh, well, we're not saying Nigel Farage is racist. We're not saying that people who support Reform UK are racists, but that is a racist policy. As I just said, it's the same as Shabana Mahmood's policy going forward. So you're right, you're right. This is a betrayal of Keir Starmer's desperation. He cannot argue with you logically, so he's calling you names.
I mean, this is the playbook, right? We've not mentioned race. We're not talking about ethnicity or background. We don't care where you're from. You could be white from America. You know, race doesn't come into it. I don't even know what they're talking about. We're talking about who qualifies to stay permanently in Britain and live off a system that British working people are paying for.
They've resorted to inflammatory language and personal attacks, unable to counter the substantive policy arguments being raised by their opponents. Meanwhile, Badenoch casually admits to political teasing as family entertainment, treating the entire Westminster circus like an extended dinner table joke. While this psychological warfare unfolds, Labour is experiencing the most catastrophic polling collapse in modern British political history. Keir Starmer has become the most unpopular Prime Minister on record according to Ipsos polling. His satisfaction ratings have crashed to just 13%, with 79% of voters actively dissatisfied with his performance. These aren't just bad numbers. These are historically unprecedented levels of political toxicity that no modern British leader has ever experienced. The polling data reveals a political earthquake that mainstream media is desperately trying to downplay. Reform UK, led by Nigel Farage, now leads Labour by 12 points in the latest surveys. Think about that for a moment. A party that didn't exist as a major force 18 months ago is now crushing the governing Labour Party that won a landslide election victory just over a year ago. This isn't normal political fluctuation. This is complete systemic collapse happening in real time. Westminster is experiencing a complete disconnect from ordinary voters.
Keir Starmer faces crisis after Nigel Farage's fiery debate. Nigel Farage walked into the House of Commons and delivered a speech intended to reframe the national conversation around trust, migration, and economic confidence. He began really from the ground up, invoking a petition from his constituency, which he said was signed by 8,000 residents in Clacton, and used that figure as evidence of a profound disconnect between voters and Westminster. By starting with a local petition, he converted a constituency grievance into a national story about representation and responsiveness. Nigel Farage anchored his address in immediate human stories. He spoke of pensioners losing winter fuel allowance, of family farms worried about inheritance tax, and of small businesses grappling with rights.
Constituents are signing petitions by the thousands, expressing their fury over winter fuel allowances being cut, inheritance tax threatening family farms, and small businesses being crushed by rising national insurance. The government's response has been to dismiss these concerns while attacking anyone who dares to voice them. The contrast between the two political styles couldn't be more stark. While Starmer stumbles through scripted responses and watches his approval ratings crater, Badenoch openly admits she treats politics like family banter sessions. She's essentially weaponizing humor and confrontation, while her opponents take themselves so seriously they've become politically toxic to ordinary voters. Her confession reveals something profound about modern political communication. Voters are desperate for authenticity, even if that authenticity involves admitting you like to tease people until they get uncomfortable. It's a radically different approach from the wooden, focus group messaging that has characterized British politics for decades. But there's an even more disturbing dimension to the government's approach. Beyond their catastrophic polling and desperate attacks on opponents, they're now pushing for digital ID systems that would fundamentally transform the relationship between citizens and the state. The public's reaction has been swift and devastating. Polling on digital IDs shifted from 35% approval to minus 14% in just 24 hours after Starmer's speech. The British people recognize authoritarian overreach when they see it, and they're rejecting it with unprecedented clarity. The timing of Badenoch's revelation is absolutely crucial. Labour's collapse isn't happening in isolation. It's happening while the Conservative opposition leader casually admits her confrontational style comes from growing up in a banter family. The optics are devastating for Labour's attempts to appear serious and competent. How do you respond to political attacks from someone who openly admits they're just having a laugh while your government crumbles around you? The psychological warfare implications are staggering. Badenoch is essentially telling her opponents that their angry responses to her provocations are exactly what she wants. She's turning political combat into entertainment, treating Westminster like an extended family dinner where everyone gets teased until they learn to laugh along or storm out in frustration. This isn't traditional political strategy. This is next-level psychological manipulation disguised as casual conversation. Think about how this plays with ordinary voters who are fed up with political correctness and over-serious politicians who seem disconnected from real life. Here's a party leader who admits she likes winding people up because it's funny, while her opponents are so uptight they're polling at historic lows. The authenticity contrast is absolutely brutal. But the deeper story is about political legitimacy in crisis. When a prime minister has 13% satisfaction ratings and his main opponent admits politics is basically family banter, you're not witnessing normal democratic discourse. You're watching the complete breakdown of traditional political authority. The establishment politicians who built their careers on solemn gravitas and careful messaging are being destroyed by someone who treats the whole thing like a joke. Social media is exploding with clips of Badenoch's banter admission contrasted with footage of Starmer's wooden, scripted performances. The viral content practically writes itself. Serious politician versus someone who admits they're just teasing people for entertainment. Guess which one resonates more with voters who feel like they've been lectured and patronized for years? The engagement numbers are through the roof because this content taps into something visceral about political frustration. The polling data backs up what the viral content suggests. Labour has suffered the worst ever fall in support for a newly elected government. They're losing voters to Reform UK on the right, to the Liberal Democrats in the centre, and to the Greens on the left. It's a complete political meltdown happening while their main opponent casually admits she's just having fun with political combat. The strategic implications are enormous. If Badenoch can maintain this casual, teasing approach while Labour continues its historic collapse, she could be positioning the Conservatives for a stunning political comeback. Not through traditional policy platforms or serious messaging, but through psychological warfare disguised as family humor. The Westminster establishment is completely unprepared for this kind of political combat. They've built their entire careers on taking themselves seriously, crafting careful statements, and avoiding controversy. Now they're facing someone who openly admits controversy is entertainment and teasing opponents until they crack is just family tradition. The cultural moment is perfect for this approach. Voters are exhausted by politicians who seem fake, over-rehearsed, and disconnected from normal human interaction. Along comes someone who admits they like winding people up because it's funny and treats their children to political banter at home. It's either completely authentic or brilliantly calculated authenticity. Either way, it's working. The economic context makes this even more devastating for Labour. While Starmer struggles with historic unpopularity over cost of living, immigration, and government competence, his main opponent is casually admitting she approaches politics like family entertainment. The contrast in political energy is absolutely stark. One side is defensive, serious, and failing. The other side is having fun, being provocative, and watching their opponents implode. This isn't just about individual political personalities. This is about the complete transformation of political communication in the social media age. Traditional gravitas and careful messaging are being destroyed by someone who admits they're just teasing people until they get uncomfortable. The old rules of political engagement are completely obsolete. Inside conservative circles, sources describe growing confidence that Badenoch's approach is working exactly as intended. While Labour MPs panic about historic polling lows, conservative strategists are watching their leader turn political combat into entertainment. The psychological advantage is overwhelming when your opponents take themselves so seriously they become politically toxic while you're openly having fun. The media coverage reveals how unprepared traditional journalism is for this approach. Political reporters trained to analyze serious policy positions and careful statements don't know how to cover someone who admits they're basically trolling their opponents for family entertainment. The conventional frameworks for political analysis are completely inadequate. International observers are fascinated by this political experiment. A major party leader openly admitting that confrontational politics is just family banter, while her opponents experience historic unpopularity. It's either political genius or complete chaos, possibly both. The implications for democratic discourse are profound and largely unexplored. The next phase of this political drama will be crucial. Can Badenoch maintain this casual, teasing approach while building serious policy alternatives? Can Labour recover from historic unpopularity while being psychologically outmaneuvered by someone who treats politics like family entertainment? The stakes couldn't be higher for both parties and for British democracy itself. What's clear is that traditional political engagement is being revolutionized in real time. The old assumptions about serious messaging, careful positioning, and avoiding controversy are being destroyed by someone who openly admits she likes making people uncomfortable because it's entertaining. This is either the future of political communication or a complete breakdown of democratic norms. The British political establishment is about to find out which one it is. The social media algorithms are amplifying this content because it's genuinely unprecedented. A major political leader casually admitting that controversial statements are just family humor while her opponents experience the worst polling in modern history. The engagement rates are massive because this taps into fundamental frustrations with political fakeness and over-serious messaging. But the deeper question is whether democracy can function when political leaders openly admit they're just teasing their opponents for entertainment. Is this authentic leadership or sophisticated manipulation disguised as casual honesty? The answer will reshape British politics for years to come. What do you think? Has Kemi Badenoch discovered the secret to political success in the social media age? Or is this the beginning of the end for serious democratic discourse? Is treating politics like family banter genius strategy or dangerous precedent? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We read every single one. And if this story shocked you as much as it shocked us, share it with everyone who needs to see what's really happening in British politics right now. The mainstream media won't tell you how revolutionary this moment actually is, but we will.